start working here?
More or less 4 years. Yeah, came to Spain 4 years ago and started working here shortly afterwards. So we've known each other about that long.
What were you doing before you came to Spain?
I used to work in Ireland, from Galway, and I was the Director of Studies in a medium-sized language school in Galway City.
In Galway City?
Yeah.
So your career is in teaching, you've always been a teacher?
Always, yeah. I'm not the type of TEFL teacher that has had a varied background. All I've done, I went to college, did a teaching degree, did a TEFL course, went abroad and started teaching my first job.
So you're qualified to teach in the state school system?
Yes, secondary teacher.
Secondary teacher. So why did you decide to make the move from... Because Galway's beautiful.
But wet. It rains a lot.
Was that the main reason for coming here?
Well, I mean, my first trip abroad was Greece. That's where I had gone on a school tour to France once, but I had never actually left Ireland until I was 21. And that was my first flight off to Greece, to the unknown. Yeah, this was before the internet, so I had written off for, saw a job advertised, applied, and got a phone call to say, yes, there's a job starting for you next week.
Why Greece? Was it just coincidence that's where the job was?
Absolutely. If I had gotten a call from somebody in Germany, I would have gone to Germany. Lisbon, I would have gone to Portugal.
And how long were you working there?
2 years. Yeah.
2 years?
I went over for 1 year initially, and I quite liked it, and I was happy to be living there, so I stayed for a second year.
Right.
It was nice.
Did you learn any Greek?
A little. Monoligo Elenica. That's about all I can remember.
Was it in Athens?
No, it was on an island called Avia, which nobody ever...
I've never heard of.
No, nobody knows. And yet it's the second largest island of the Greek islands. And the good thing about the island was it was connected to the mainland by a bridge and just an hour from Athens by bus. So you were on an island and there was a certain amount of island life, so to speak, but you weren't isolated, and that was nice.
How do the Greeks compare to the Spanish? Did you enjoy working with Greek people?
I did. I think I fell in love with Mediterranean culture generally. I liked that kind of way of life, the evening strolls and hanging out on the beach in the summertime, and things are a little bit more laid back, and people seem to be... Food is lovely, and everything is about the food as well. You know, here in Spain too, and in Italy as well. I also spent a bit of time in Italy. So I've kind of done the Mediterranean countries in terms of living. And there's a lot about sitting around the table and hanging out in open spaces as well. You know, in Ireland it's all sitting inside in a pub, whereas in these places you go outside and you go for walks.
So 2 years in Greece, and then what did you do? Did you go back to Ireland?
I did, yeah. I went back to Ireland and was teaching as well in another language school again. And then I met my now husband. I met him at that point, and he got a job to run a bar in Canada. So he said... Was
he a teacher originally?
No, he's a barman at the time, and somebody asked him, he was a good barman, so they said, oh, will you set up a bar for me in Canada? And he said, I'm thinking about going to Canada, would you come with me? I'll go if you go. Oh, why not? So I went to Canada.
Which part, which city?
Well, that was the thing. We went to Edmonton, so it wasn't... Edmonton is fine, it's a nice place, but it's not very exciting. It doesn't have the vibrancy of Vancouver or Toronto, for example. We stayed there for 6 months.
So he was managing the pub. Was it a success?
Yeah, but it's still there, yeah.
What's been the most difficult thing for you and your husband about making a life here?
Spanish.
The language?
The language, definitely, yeah. Because I suppose, I mean, you have the problem, like when I was in Greece I had the problem too, but for some reason I think I just managed better, whereas now we're here essentially for the long haul, and we're trying to pick up a level that you can converse with people to, I don't know, a higher level than I would have needed in Greece, for example, or in Italy.
What do you enjoy most about teaching?
There's lots of things really. I like the social element. I like being in a room with other people, communicating. So my classes are often very communicative. I love the eureka moment if you're explaining something.
When they get it, when they actually get it.
Yeah, I love that moment. I have contributed in some way to that learning process, and that gives me a sense of achievement. That kind of, now I know. Mm-hmm. I really do like that.
Me too.
I like giving kind of advice on how students can be more autonomous in their own learning. Advice that I don't take. I'm the worst language learner, so all the things that I say you should do, I don't do.
They say teachers are the worst students.
Yeah,
I'm the same. What do you dislike about teaching?
Disciplining. I'm not a natural disciplinarian. It doesn't sit well. I hate having to raise my voice, and I think, I just don't feel comfortable that has to occur.
Marie, what advice do you have for a Spanish speaker learning English?
Well, again, giving lots of advice freely, things that I don't do. Practice. Providing yourself with opportunities to practice either spoken English by going to intercambios or, writing and asking somebody to correct your writing through online sources or teachers here. Just as much exposure to the language as possible. If then in terms of reading and listening, the same thing, turn the movie on to the original language and watch it in the original language with subtitles if need be.
Mm-hmm. How do you spend your time when you're not teaching here?
Well, with Roisin, my daughter
and
now.
Family.
Yeah, we hang out together. I suppose because we don't have other family around, we have to be together, so luckily we get on well.
Do you have time for hobbies and pastimes?
No. But to be honest, I mean, even before Roisin and before being here, I wasn't a particularly sporty person. I mean, yes, I used to do yoga, and I don't do yoga now, but I didn't have a wide range of hobbies that I actively pursued. So,
if you could change something about yourself, what would you change?
Well, I am an awful worrier.
Really?
I worry a lot, yeah.
You seem so calm and collected.
Yes, I know. It surprises most people when I tell them that, yeah. So I wish I wasn't as fretful. Yeah, I worry about everything.
What do you hope to do in the future? What are your future plans?
I think about the future a lot, but...
Is that what you worry about?
Worrying about the future, but I don't have any real set goals. I'm not overly ambitious that I have a path and I know the steps to get to my goal.
Do you see your future here in Spain?
Well, when we were leaving to come to Spain, and my husband was saying, we're leaving and we're moving to Spain and you'll never see us again kind of thing. And I was saying, we're going for a year and we'll see how it goes. And that's 4 years ago. So that's how little I see the future. I don't jump in 5 years.
Well, it's very sensible to wait a year and see how you feel.
Yeah. But every year is like that. So even now, it's like, we'll see. So it'll probably be, if you ask me the same question in 20 years' time, we'll see.
We'll see. What makes you happy?
Well, my daughter makes me very happy, and my husband too, I have to say that. I know he does.
And what makes you sad?
Cruelty. I get very sad when I see people being cruel to animals or to other people. It disturbs me immensely. Yeah.
Which famous person, dead or alive, would you like to have dinner with, and why?
Well, I'd say George Clooney, because I think he's stunning. But it would probably be a horrible dinner because I'd be so gobsmacked and nervous.
What would you ask him?
Well, apparently he's quite good company and he's quite nice as a person as well as being charming. So, I don't know, I'd have a chat like with yourself over brownies.
In an ideal world, what would your life be like?
I'm quite happy with my life now. Perhaps a little more job security, not just for me, like for us as a family. But I quite like living in Spain. I quite like where we're at in our life now. Yeah, I'm not unhappy. So this is as ideal as it can get, really.
It's good to hear. If you had €6,000 to spend on yourself, what would you buy?
Well, I'm not into designer stuff, so I wouldn't be buying...
Wouldn't be clothes?
It would not be, no. A holiday. I like travelling. I've always liked travelling. And I think a treat is going somewhere. So I've always had a wish, I suppose, or a dream to go on the Orient Express.
Me too. I love long train journeys.
Yeah, so if I had a big chunk of money that was suddenly given to me and I could spend it frivolously on myself, possibly the Orient Express.
Take a few books and just relax on a train and eat well and travel through country. Do you like cruises?
I haven't been on, a week cruise. I've been on a cruise ship for like the last leg of a journey from Greece to Italy, and it was a little bit dull, I have to say.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'd much prefer a train journey than a cruise.
Yeah, I think there's a romance about travelling by train that you don't have for any other ways of transport. So yeah, Orient Express. Let's go together.
The machine's a bit older. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm not a natural disciplinarian. It doesn't sit well. I hate having to raise my voice. But I didn't have a wide range of hobbies that I actively pursued. So. Well, I'm not into designer stuff, so I wouldn't be buying...
Wouldn't be clothes?
It would not be, no. A week cruise. I've been on a cruise ship for like the last leg of a journey from